Welcome to the Picture Book Library. My name's Katie. I'm a mom of 6 and a self-professed children's book addict. I created this channel to share the picture books that I know and love. If that sounds like your thing, go ahead and hit the subscribe button down below. Today, I am so excited and a little nervous to be reviewing Where the Wild Things Are. Where the Wild Things Are was written and illustrated by Maurice Sendak and was published in 1963. Where the Wild Things Are tells the story of a little boy named Max who is being wild and making mischief and is sent to bed by his mother. However, his room turns into a forest, his ceiling is covered with vines, and an ocean appears with a boat for him to sail away through night and day, in and out of weeks, and almost over a year to where the wild things are. When he arrives, the wild things are very scary, but Max tells them, "Be still," and tames them with a magic trick. They, in turn, are very frightened and think he is the most wild thing of all. They make him their king, and Max announces the famous line, "Let the wild rumpus start." They dance under the moon, swing from the trees, and have a lovely time together. Then Max tells them all to stop and sends them to bed without their supper. After this, Max becomes lonely and wants to go where someone loves him best of all. He smells something yummy and gives up being king of the wild things. However, they don't want him to leave, and they shout, "Don't go, we'll eat you up, we love you so." And Max says, "No." They gnash their teeth and stomp their feet, but Max gets into his boat and sails away to his very own room, where he finds his supper waiting for him, and it is still hot. Wow, doing a book review for Where the Wild Things Are was very intimidating for me. It's one of the best known and well-loved children's books, written by one of the best known and well-loved children's authors of the 20th century. Generations have been raised on this book, so I hesitantly add my humble review of this beloved work of art. Where the Wild Things Are was published in 1963, but it was actually started about 7 years earlier. It was titled Where the Wild Horses Are, but then Maurice Sendak realized he couldn't draw horses, so he changed it to Wild Things. It's actually based on a Yiddish term, and I'm not going to try and pronounce it, but it means wild animals, and it's a term used for rowdy and rambunctious children, which makes sense because Maurice Sendak is of Jewish-Polish descent. The wild things themselves were actually based on caricatures he made of his aunts and uncles, who he described as all crazy and wild faces, blood-stained eyes, and yellowed teeth, who pinched his cheeks until they were red. Where the Wild Things Are has been adapted into an animated short film in 1975, an opera in 1980, and a full-length animated film in 2009. When Wild Things was published in 1963, it was not an immediate success. In fact, there was a very famous psychiatrist of the time, Bruno Bettelheim, who wrote a scathing review. When Sendak was asked what made it so scandalous, he said, "It was really the idea of a mother not having disciplined her child. And also she was reduced to his level of anger. She yells at him and sends him to bed without supper. No mother should do that, and I agree that no mother should do that. But I also agree that mothers and children are human beings and will lose their way occasionally and do the wrong thing and say the wrong thing." Sendak described his editor, Ursula Nordstrom, as his mentor. He said he knew that the book would cause a lot of problems, and his editor knew too, and she encouraged him, do it, do it, do it. She gave him a book every year. He said that she intended him to be a great illustrator. She saw that in him. Sendak actually said, "She made me who I am." So I think we owe a huge thank you to Ursula Nordstrom, without whom there would be no Maurice Sendak as we know him. And so, after a rough start of being banned from libraries, it did become a famous book. And actually, it was librarians who were beginning to see that kids were checking this book out of the library over and over and over again. Since then, this book has become an icon, a turning point in children's literature. It has been voted the top children's book of all time several times. Sendak was one of the first children's book authors to allow the children in his books to display emotions, to work through anger and frustration, to find a way through the struggle and come out the other side with stronger and deeper family ties. In the story, you can see Max working through the interaction with his mom. He goes deep into his imagination and puts himself in power over the wild things. The emotions are high and they both need a chance to calm down. I love the fact that as Max is off in the land of the wild things, his mother is fixing him supper and bringing it to his room. Even when they both lose their tempers, she still loves him. And through that peace offering, Max is drawn from his daydream back into the warmth and love of his family. We all lose our temper sometimes, but there is forgiveness and restoration and repair. Maurice Sendak once said, "Where the Wild Things Are" is probably the only real children's book I've ever done. It's scary and funny and ludicrous. I don't know if it's the only real children's book he's ever done, but it is definitely a world-changing work of art that we are privileged to be able to enjoy. So tell me, have you ever read Where the Wild Things Are? What do you think? What is your favorite Maurice Sendak book? Did you learn anything new today? Comment down below. I would love to hear from you. If you like book reviews, if you want to see more book reviews, if you have a book you want me to review, put a comment down below and I will try to make that happen. I've had a great time today. I hope to see you again soon. Have a great day. Bye. In fact, there was a very famous psychiatrist.